let's go. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for organizers. And my name is Inessa Popova. I'm a senior consultant, technical architect at Deloitte Consulting. And today I would like to tell you about flexible workflow in S4HANA. I worked with flexible workflow a lot, and yeah, I think it's really difficult sometimes to start with such complex thema as workflow, and for me it was really hard start. And so today I thought, how can I just make presentations so that for everyone it will be easier to start and to work with flexible workflow. And yes, I would like to so that we will have a nice journey and see workflow architecture, like workflow in some transformation and S4HANA conversion projects. After that, deep dive in flexible workflow with standard workflow, custom workflow with bodies. Then I will show you short demo, flexible workflow for purchase order, easy, but I hope it will help you. And best practices also from my experience, because sometimes, yeah, we analyze everything, but it comes to some problems, and I want to show you these cases so that you can analyze it before and just keep in mind for your projects. Could you please raise your hand if you worked already with workflow, with business, flexible, or workflow in cloud? Okay, so nice. For someone who didn't work with workflow, I just want to explain approval process. So this workflow approval, what is it? So sometimes we want to have a vacation, and for that we need to create vacation request, to send it to our team lead, to our manager, also notify HR manager, and so his description of this approval process, and sometimes it takes really a lot of time, even if it's not automated, it's like a lot of paperwork and so on. And here, how it will work if we automate it with flexible workflow. We are happy because we can do it like one click, send this request, and yeah, everyone is notified, everyone can approve it really fast. And yeah, nothing beats an approved to holiday. After that, we can book our tickets. So flexible workflow in SAP is a modern workflow framework introduced in SAP S4HANA to handle approval processes for different business scenarios. So for standard scenarios, for custom objects, we can also enhance it with bodies. We have a lot of customizing options, and today we will see it also in the system. Okay, workflow architecture, business, flexible, and workflow in cloud. So we have three types of workflow in SAP, and we will talk about flexible workflow. And when we see here, if we have SAP ECC system, it's only business workflow. If we have S4HANA Cloud, then we will use workflow in cloud, BTP, so business process automation. And in S4HANA, we have actually two options. It's business workflow or flexible workflow. And if we have S4HANA transformation or conversion project, it's important to understand which workflow we choose. We can also integrate S4HANA with, S4HANA workflow with workflow in sub-cloud, but it's more about integration. So workflow in cloud still be workflow in cloud in this case. Okay, so let's see difference. So yeah, you can find a lot of blog posts with difference between business and flexible workflow. I would really concentrate on some test cases, some examples. So business workflow for complex approval process when we have parallel approval and background step. Standard flexible workflow for sequential approval, so step-by-step approval, and we have approval scenario for this object from substandard. So we can use standard flexible workflow. If we don't have this standard flexible workflow scenario in a system, we can create our own custom flexible workflow scenario and use a custom flexible workflow. So really easy example. We saved purchase order, workflow started. We have 3 approval steps and then workflow add. So step-by-step approval. For custom object, it will be custom flexible workflow, but it's the same now. And for business workflow, this old workflow from YCC system, I saw a lot of difficult workflows schemas in my life. So it's like one example when we have parallel approval. So customer wills that we have really 3 approval steps in parallel. And in this case, we cannot use now flexible workflow. In this case, if we want to stay clean core with some best practices, we need to modify this process. So something like correct this approval and go to step-by-step approval. If we cannot do this, if we cannot get so approval from customer to change this process, we still need to use business workflow. Also, if we have some background logic in our workflow, like background steps, if we have in business workflow some logic, we also cannot implement it with flexible workflow. In this case, we also need to discuss if we do this logic before workflow, after workflow, or we will still use business workflow. Yeah, so in flexible workflow, we cannot implement it right now. And also something like complex approval. It's like one example is like loop approval. So we have some end workflow condition. And so we can have 5 steps, 10 steps, and so on. So this is also really complex for flexible workflow. And yeah, we need to modify it. Okay, now let's see what is flexible workflow in S/4HANA. It's components, customizing, and also bodies. And we will see some demo for purchase order. Flexible workflow, like really easy schema, standard flexible workflow, and custom flexible workflow. For both of these workflow scenarios, we can use bodies and customizing. So even if we create our own custom flexible scenario, we can use the same bodies and customizing also. Yeah, so how we can, so like some examples that I thought about flexible workflow, about standard and custom flexible workflow. I thought about some recipes about food, but I thought, okay, my presentation is before some text pauses, so no. And I thought, okay, maybe with Lego. We have some standard Lego blocks, and we can build with this standard Lego blocks workflow. It's no-code approach. Yeah, it's no-code approach, even in S/4HANA on-premise. And it's easy to use, and we can also build so some processes. It's not always easy process. It's just like process that for that we have everything in standard. We don't need to do some customization. So not customization, but some body. We don't need some coding for that. We just use standard elements. We define this workflow and we can use it. Really easy. But sometimes we need a lot of customization for our customers, difficult logic, complex logic. And in this case, we also use this more complex Lego blocks, so to say, and we can build also more complex figures. And that's also about flexibility of flexible workflow. You can build different logic, so really logic that you need with these bodies and this coding. But of course, we need more time for that. And we also need development. Okay, and let's see what we need to define this standard workflow. For example, for purchase order, we define start condition, step condition, agent determination, deadline definition, email notification, and exception handling. All of that we have already in standard. And we will check how it looks like in a system. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. Okay, let's start with manage workloads for purchase orders app. Here we have some workload definitions. Here's orders, very important because system check it, yeah, also with this orders that we defined. And I will show you simplest case. So purchase order approval with user ID. I will copy it so that I can show you some different options. Yeah, first description, valid from, valid to. I would say this valid from, valid to is really great for test options, but not for production, because after this valid to is expired, this workload definition will be not active. Then start conditions. It's also predefined from standard, so we can just use it. If it's enough for customer, it's great. So we don't need to define anything by ourselves. We can also create some alternative preconditions. And then we have steps. Here I have two types. First, approval, release of purchase order type. We have also automatic release for purchase order. We have some step properties also. It can be optional step, or we can also exclude some agents. And recipients, by role or by user. Easiest case, if you start with workflow, is defined by user and enter your user so that you can test it. And we have also step conditions. So if these conditions are true, then the step will be called. We can define yeah, some conditions. Okay, I need only one. Also alternative. So, okay, sorry. Yeah, and also deadlines. We can create some deadline below 10. So when workload started or from this current step. Mark as overdue, or we can also send email notification. It's also best practice to mark step as overdue at first and only after that send email notification. I think without this mark step or as overdue, this email will not be sent. So yeah, just first mark step and after that you can send emails. And some exception handling in case of purchase order rejected. So cancel workflow or maybe continue with next step. I'm not sure that we need to repeat or restart workflow, but you can check for your scenarios. Yeah. Okay, and let's check other steps that we also can define is automatic release. Here we have also some step properties. We don't have any recipients because it's automation approval. We can define some step conditions also deadlines and like for email notification maybe, yeah, and exception handling. Yes, yes. So we have body for that, body for start conditions and for step conditions. And if it's not enough, you can still use a standard flexible workload scenario, but you can enhance it with your own conditions. Yeah. Okay. Okay, cancel. And what's most difficult topic here? I think it's also yeah, customization and also about recipients. So agent determination logic. And here I will show you this slide. So agent determination, user or role. And here we have actually three main options. It's standard roles from org structure, PPOMA, custom roles that you can define in body, so logic. You can program how you want to find the right user for this role, or with a function from team. And I will show you now how we can do it. So I go back And here, let's start with this PO approval by rule. We have also start condition and then step and then first approval. And we go here and we see that I have here role and this role PO approval level 1. It's just like test role, but how we can define it? It's a lot of roles. Some of them like comes from standard, some of them like from so functions and teams, and some of them are roles. We don't see here any difference, but I define it that I know, okay, it's custom role. So I go back. Here we have app manage responsibility roles. I have some custom rules here, and we can open. That's why that is and here we have this PO approval 1. It's our ID, technical thing, description, and also body filter value. PO approval 1. Now we can go to our system. We can enter this body name, go to implementations. Okay, it's a lot. I will go here. It's my implementation for this test case. I can open this filter and we will see that here's this filter value. So here's connection between this rule and our body implementation. First, we need to create body implementation and after that rule. And here we have class and method, and here we can implement everything we want. We can add also here some parameters. If we need also get these parameters, like maybe you need PO number, so select something else to find the right user. You can define custom tables, define their users with your logic and select these tables in this method and define the right person for your workflow. After that, so it's only rule. And after that, we need to connect this rule to our workflow. We go to this app, manage responsibility context. I can extend here every standard workflow that I have. It's extended already. So it's workflow for purchase orders. This is ID. You can find it on sub help page, or even if you open this manage workflow app, it's in URL. And here you will see some new rules. I'll go here and I see, okay, it's my role with this responsibility role ID. So here we have this connection between rule and workflow. And only after that, we can use it in manage workflow for purchase orders. We can go there and I will show one more time. Go to steps and here we can just select it. Okay. Next options that we have, it's not so flexible, but if we work with team, I will show you this manage teams and responsibilities. So maybe it will be also enough. So if you don't need a lot of custom logic, you can define some teams and yeah. Okay, that's here's my team for procurement. So operational purchaser, procurement. And here we can define some filters, so to say, that we can use for our team for this responsibility definitions. It's great if you use these filters together with workload definition. And so you can define team owners and team members with this function. And this function is very important because with this function, a workload will determine so agent, agent for this work item. So with these functions, when we activate this team and status is enabled. So enabled for means it's enabled for workflow. So with this function, we can work in flexible workflow scenario. For example, here, approval with team. I can copy it. I can go here to steps, and I can work with this operational purchase level 1. Okay. And so let's define order. So it will be the first one. And let's check how we can create workflow. So start. So we copy purchase order and then we can order. So we see this operational purchase level 1 and it's me. Okay. Okay, we can go back. I can open also my inbox and I can, okay, we need some time for that to see details. Yeah. And then I can approve. Actually, we can also customize all these buttons or deactivate it. It's customizing. It's also pretty easy and you can do it for every workload scenario. So for purchase order, you can rename it or deactivate some buttons, and for purchase requisitor also, so you can do it separately for every workload scenario. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So do you have maybe any questions about demo? Yeah. Yeah, you can use this business rule framework, but together with this body. So you need to implement it separately. If you want to use it, you can, but you need this, define it in this body. Then, okay. Thank you for your question. Yeah. By approval. So you can add some field in this pop-up, but it's more about Fiori implementation. So if I click here approve, I have here decision node. You can add so other field here. I don't know complexity if you need to define. We had project where we create this my inbox UI from our own, so not standard. You can add here, but it will be in workflow container, and you need after workflow you need to define logic to bring this fields from container to your purchase order. Or maybe you need also to define custom flexible workflow for that. I'm not sure, because you need this logic after workflow. Yeah, yeah. Okay, other question, yeah. So this workload definition, you mean? Okay, it's actually we transport this workload definition. So we will save it in transport, and you can import. I think you can do it with this transport. So you export transport like file. So I'm not sure how you can ask somebody's colleagues. It's like archive maybe, and you can import it with this transport, this workload scenarios. Logic also, if you have some body logic, it's also saved in transports. So you can work with this transport between two systems. Yeah. So user authorization, like roles, you can also transport with. So you can also use transport for that. Also in production system, you get this user roles also with transport. So between system, it will be also with transport. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it's standard. It's no separate license for that. Okay. Okay, great. Now, what we can enhance with, so enhancement here, like bodies, standard and step conditions, agent determination logic, workload restart criteria. If we do some changes on purchase order, we can decide if we need a new workflow or not. It's with workload restart criteria, it's customizing and body also for that, and also excluded agents. We can also have body. Okay, and now best practices. So from my experience, like quick help for everyone who concept this workflow process. So first is process relationships. It's not only about flexible workflow, it's about a lot of processes that we have in a system. We can so identify all processes and just analyze how it's connected with flexible workflow, if we have some custom processes to start flexible workflow, if we have some parallel processes where we need to update status, for example, for purchase order from flexible workflow, if we need some to start some processes after flexible workflow, it's also important. It can be so, and it's sometimes it's difficult to do some changes in standard flexible workflows. That's why we need to create our own, so custom flexible workflow for that. So it's really important point from my side. Yeah, agent handling and workflow. It's not always so that we can find an agent in a system. Sometimes we have some errors, sometimes user is not, so this employee is not more here in the company. So sometimes we get workflow without agents, and it's important to communicate with customer to define this workflow admin, who will be workflow admin in our company, and who will check all these workflows, and what's procedure for that. Also handling document changes, PO saved, and then we change something in PO, and we need to understand if we can work with this flexible workflow or we need to restart. And also, yeah, if we approve this old PO, then maybe we need to start new workload to approve this PO with changes. So it will be better if we just check it at the moment when PO changed. Also with body or customizing, we can define it in a system. For body implementation, okay, please don't write all logics that you need in this body method. Yeah, clean code rules and also unit tests. It's really great thing for workflow processes, for flexible workflow, because it's so difficult to test sometimes if you have this big processes. So that's why this unit test can be really, really helpful. And if you develop flexible workflow, please use it. For testing, yeah, it's a lot. So first, I think the most difficult is this test system to get these users, these approvers. So maybe ask to create some dummy users with different roles so that you can test it efficiency. So not with one user, but maybe you have 5 or 6, depends on your workflow process. And also try to use realistic, so real data from production, maybe if you can. And also different scenarios, check event queues. We work a lot with events, and also check if some workflow start delayed, if workflow end delayed, how your system works, just, I mean, performance, maybe just write a report to start 100 workflows and see what's happened in the system. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. Summary. So flexible workflow, modern workflow framework, we can really extend a lot. We can implement a lot, even with bodies, with customizing. And yeah, please use these bodies, start with workflow, check sub-help and community pages. And yeah, also ready for future BTP, AI, and yeah, also this integration. Yeah, thank you very much. Do you have some questions? Yes. For business process automation, you can use AI to implement. But so for workflow itself, no, I don't know about it. Yeah. Now, no. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, actually, you have actually this workload in the cloud. I find it's really with such beautiful interface, how you build it, how you can build it, and maybe you have even more flexibility here because it's like business process automation. You have a lot of different tasks here. You have a lot of so more integration options. You can even start your workflow in cloud and start maybe parallel workflow in S4HANA if you need. I also did some like proof of concept for that. It's also very interesting. Yeah. And you have also this Joule for business process automation if you want to try AI here. Yeah. And if you also have only cloud, then you have only this so workload in BTP. Yeah. Public cloud. Public. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, thank you very much. And if you have more questions.
So thanks